3. Okay. So thank you very much, Stephanie, for showing all those wonderful photos of the Hollywood film stars, world cinema film stars, and also photos from your experience of having worked at Kumbh Mela. So now let us talk about other questions. So Stephanie, since you are a cinema photographer, photographer who works in the film industry, so I want to ask you how difficult it is or how easy it is for a photographer to work with film stars. Please explain. When you work with film stars, how difficult or how easy it is to work with them?
Okay. Well, generally, this is quite easy, especially with actors in comparison than people who are not, because obviously it is their profession to strike the pose, kind of. But the challenge is quite challenging and quite interesting to be able to direct a director who is more used to be behind the camera. But actually, when you succeed to do that, it's very, it's very interesting because basically what is good to take a good image, I think, is when the person you are taking in picture is surrender to the camera. And the film director most of the time is in control. So it is interesting to try to provoke and to enter another process. And my specialty, I mean, I took a lot in picture these film directors, in fact. Yeah.
Okay, great. Stephanie, we are living in an age of multimedia and internet. So my next question is a little bit related to this field. So I want to know from you, how have mobile phones and internet impacted your work? Because I believe when you started long time ago, there was no internet, there was no multimedia, there was no mobile phone.
Yeah. It was real film.
Yes, it was real film. And now film is not, I mean, now film is, I believe it's less. So how have mobile phones and internet impacted your work? For good or bad, whatever.
Yes, of course. Okay, so what I love, for example, the fact that you are taking images now in digital is that you can show straight away, you can show to the person you are photographing, it helps them to trust you more. So straight away they can see that they have a good image of themselves, and it helps them to relax and to understand that they are in good hands, so to speak. And of course, the mobile phone, the internet, and particularly the Instagram, is a fantastic way to connect with people, and from all over the world. It doesn't matter. The world is getting smaller because of that, which I think is incredible. So you can relate, you can have a conversation with people from all over, and it's amazing. But of course, you have to use it scarcely and not to be an addict. Otherwise, if it's an addiction, it's not good because it's too much time consuming. So you have to be very careful because it's quite addictive. And but of course, for example, Instagram for me, it's very important because it's a way for me to display my work, to show my work, because I have friends, but I have also professionals who are following my work. And it's a good way to do this follow-up. And otherwise, you're asking internet in general. You are asking, right?
No. I'm not asking internet in general. What I'm saying is that internet as a means of communication, because earlier when you used to work, so it'll take some time for you to send your photos. Am I right? But now with the internet, you can send just email, and you can email and you can do a Zoom session.
Yes.
That way.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, Stephanie, let us discuss the typical day of a photographer, of a professional photographer like you. So tell me, Stephanie, what does a typical day for a professional photographer look like? You can give your
Okay.
example.
Well, I would say, because I'm a freelance,
Okay.
so they are not like typical day. Generally, it's either I work on a movie, so I work every day, or maybe it depends. Sometimes they hire me for a few days here and there, but otherwise it's like every day for 1 month, 2 months, depending on the length of the movie. Or I would work for the film festival, covering generally for the LA Times or other outlet, and then I would work it's very funny actually, because people, when I tell them, oh, I'm going to Cannes, or they say, oh my God, you're so lucky. But they don't know the backstage story, that
Correct,
it is
correct.
real work.
Yes.
You wake
It's
up
hard
early in the
work, I would
morning,
say.
you have
Yes.
to see,
Yeah.
because also I'm doing private sittings with the people. So
Okay.
I want to understand the atmosphere, the movie, the work, because I have an interaction with the person I'm photographing. So it's not like I'm on the red carpet and I click, click, click. No, I have a
Yes.
particular connection with the person. So it's I do my homework, so to speak. So I'm watching the movies if I can. Sometimes, of course, I don't have enough time, but if I can, I manage to watch the movie. And then you make some research, then you do the location scouting. It takes a lot of time. It's not just the glitter. People think that it's only fun, but it's also a lot of work. And the PR, the journalists, and even the talents. I mean, we are on the same boat. Around that, there are people who come to Cannes maybe to party or whatever. There are two worlds.
Yes.
But we are there to work, and we are there because obviously we are also cinephile, and for many different things. So that's also another thing. So I have the film festival, working on set. I have my own personal work. So for example, the documentary pictures. So when I'm in the Kumbh, I work particularly at night, because I'm very fond of working at night. So every night I roam around with my camera, I take some pictures. So I work, how can I say, I work in concentration. It's all, so it could be a movie, a film festival, or the Kumbh, or whatever subject that I choose. Then I completely dedicate myself for a period of time, but it's not like every day I'm going to go, and because there is also a large part of my work that is to contact people, either a producer or magazines, or there is a lot of bureaucracy behind it, and you have to do some cold call. You have to knock on doors, call production companies, and it's also part of the work, and you really have to be a go-getter, because nobody will wait for you. You have to just push the door and just go for it. That's,
yes.
yeah.
Okay, all this sounds very interesting. Okay, Stephanie, tell me, you are in this field for a long time. So I would like to know from you, does gender play any role in photography business? Does it matter that you are a male photographer or you're a woman photographer? So what is your view? Does gender matter at all, or it doesn't matter? And if it matters, yes, why? And if it doesn't matter, no, then why not? Over to you.
So I can speak of my personal experience working, for example, in the film festival. So I can see the difference between men photographers and women photographers. For example, there are a lot of women who are working on the red carpet, and they are taking pictures, many women. But to do the same kind of work that I'm doing, which is private sittings, with either the director or the actor. I mean, we are very, very few. Sometimes it happened that in film festival, I was the only one. So, yeah. So it's not, you know, it can be an asset because, of course, the fact that you are different because, you know, you're maybe the only woman, or maybe we are two women or something. So it can be an advantage. At the same time, I feel that there is this kind of men coalition and this kind of maybe the thinking that because they are men, they are superior and they are more capable of doing things, etc. But now that we are advancing, we understand that the women are perfectly capable of, you know, achieving as best result as the men, you know. And also in the cinema, the different position in cinema is the same. You know, I'm sure now there is more and more woman DOP, and you know, it's good. There is this kind of woman. There is a shift, which is very interesting to witness. Yes.
Okay, great. And Stephanie, what about the equipment? What kind of equipment do you use to click your photos?
Okay, so I've always been a Nikonist. I use Nikon. My very first camera my dad offered me was a Nikon. It was a Nikormat. And since that day, I'm using Nikon, and I like it. I like the tones. I like the sharpness of the lens. And I'm very fond of Nikon, but I used also a panoramic lens, a camera called Noblex 50. It's a film camera, and so I use that also. And that's it.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so Stephanie, you began because you were interested in photography. Yes, you became a photographer because you were interested in photography from a very early age.
Yes, in fact, my passion was cinema.
Yes. Okay.
And I wanted to go to a film school, and then it didn't happen. And then I did music, you know, I was a rock star photographer, and then I came back to my original love, which is cinema.
Okay, yes. So your original love is cinema, but of course you are working in cinema, but as a photographer. So my question is to you is that, personally, what do you consider photography to be? Do you consider it to be a science or an art? Can you please explain in detail what, according to you, what is photography, a science or an art?
Okay, well, I think, okay, it's important to master the technique, but I think it's more important to have a vision, to have a field, to study, you know, photography, discover the great photographers, and watch a lot of movies to develop this aesthetic, and yes, to be able to have this spirit of, you know, you see something and you understand that, okay, this can be a great image because you have a sense of composition, which I think is the most interesting thing, because you then you tell a story, you know. So it's more important, I think, to have a good eye and maybe to be less technical than to be very good in technique, and maybe you won't have you know, the emotion, which is very, very important, I think. And yes.
Okay. Stephanie, you mentioned Kumbh Mela. So you mentioned Kumbh Mela, Kumbh, which you call Kumbh. Yeah, it's Kumbh Mela, the Mela being the fair, you know. So my next question to you is that, apart from clicking pictures of famous stars, you have also clicked picture of ordinary people. The people who come to Kumbh Mela are all ordinary people. They are not stars. So is it easy or is it difficult to work with common people? So can you please share your experience?
Right. No, I think when you do portraiture of, different faces, embracing different cultures, etc., it's as interesting as taking pictures of artists in entertainment. It's the same. You do it in the same way. You either you are interested in this person because you have a feel, or maybe you want to tell a story. It's the same process. I take it. There is no difference between strangers and famous people. My approach is the same. Yes.
Okay. Stephanie, we are living in an age where uh, everybody can have access to a camera. Even a small child or a school kid or a boy or a girl or anybody. So,
Right.
yes. So I would like to know from you, because you are a well experienced photographer, what needs to be done in order to make photography more popular among school children, who are young children, school children, and young adults, that is college students. So what should be done to make photography more popular?
Right. I think maybe you can organize some workshop, invite some renowned photographer to tell about their craft, about their work, show the pictures, explain a bit of the backstage story, the technique, maybe train them. Maybe they can go to a particular place together and they can try. I would tell them, just do it, go there and do it,
Okay.
don't that's the best way. It's not in this kind of, it's like making a film. It's the same thing. It's not because you attend a school for years and years that you're going to be a great filmmaker or a great photographer. Going to a photographic school, it's more doing it that you learn the craft. So you just have to get there and train, and the more the more you do it, the better it is, and the more experience you're going to get, and the better you, and then in this way you will improve. Yes, that's the best. Don't be scared and just throw yourself. Don't try, just do it. Yeah.
Okay.
That will be my advice.
Okay, great. Okay, Stephanie, now let's again talk a little bit about film festivals.
Yes.
Because it's at the film festivals where you can meet actors, directors, technicians.
Sure.
Yes. So, Stephanie, my question to you is that what kind of atmosphere do you encounter at big film festivals, such as Cannes or Venice? Because you go to big film festivals to click pictures. So, what kind of atmosphere, what kind of environment do you find over there?
What kind of what? Sorry.
What kind of atmosphere? What kind of environment? How's the
environment?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Well, as I mentioned before, there is a backstage story to this film festival. So basically, most of the time, when you are a journalist or when you are a photographer, you're invited to for the journalists what they call the junkets. And so the round table. So basically, like a lot of journalists who attend, and it's if you are privileged, then if you're lucky, then you get a one-on-one, which is amazing. And for the photographer, it's not like you have the whole day to shoot. Yeah, it's sometimes you have 2 minutes, sometimes you have 10 minutes. Sometimes, if you're lucky, if you work for a prestigious outlet, I mean, being LA Times, sometimes I've been lucky. I had maybe 30 minutes, which is incredible in a film festival. When you get 30 minutes, it's like luxury. You're like, wow.
30 minutes with a single person or a whole?
No. It's private sitting only. You've seen my photograph.
Settings. Okay.
Of course, I'm alone with either the director or the actor. It's not Otherwise it's called a photo call, you know, but I'm doing something different because I have to think of, you know, where I'm going to take the picture. I have to think of my lighting. I have to think of my composition. I have to think if I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to, you know, I have to think of so many things, how the person is dressed, you know, maybe if it's a good match with, you know, where I want to photograph this person, and, you know, a lot of things. Yes.
Okay. Next question also is related to photography at big film festivals. So Stephanie, you do a lot of portraits, you do a lot of sittings, and then you mentioned that there are also photographers who do red carpet.
Right.
Okay. So the question is that how are photographers, all photographers, treated in general at Cannes Film Festival?
How we are treated?
Yes, how are the photographers treated?
We are treated, you know, I believe the red carpet, I mean, I did it a little bit. Fortunately, it's not, I mean, it's not what I like to do. Obviously, I love to do what I'm doing, these private sittings.
Yes.
But to be on the red carpet, it's they seem like an army, you know, it's like they are a group of many photographers, and there are these rules, and they it's crazy. They even they can, the competition is crazy on the red carpet. They even, you know, they would be physical. That's crazy. They would, you know, go like, get out of my way, or this kind of thing, like, you know, unbelievable.
It's very fierce. Yes.
Correct? Yeah. So it's completely different. When you are alone, you are your own boss. You know, you have, even if you have a small time, during that time, it is your time, which is amazing, you know. No, I think journalists have probably a much better treatment in comparison than photographers. You are more VIP than us photographer. Unless, okay, when you work for big media, maybe you have a little bit more consideration. But still, the journalists have a better treatment. Okay. Yes, I believe so. Okay. But after all these years, you know, they know, they appreciate the quality of your work. So obviously, you have a certain recognition, so to speak, which is good, which is nice, at least. Okay. Yes, recognition is what everybody is looking for. An actor needs to be recognized. And I had a little bit of awards. I was selected in a section of Cannes Film Festival called Behind the Lens, L'œil du photographe, as one of the best photographers. So, you know, I had the opportunity to show my work, and I wrote a little bio. So that was an incredible international exposure, you can imagine, to be on the official of, you know, Cannes Film Festival website. That was incredible. Wow. That was in 2014. And I got an award from Venice Film Festival. Also, I got Best Portrait in Venice Film Festival for my portrait of Andy Lau, the Chinese actor. So that was also quite a recognition, you know. Okay, interesting. So, yeah. Okay, Stephanie, what about the photos? You showed a lot of photos. So how do you decide upon the photos which you want to shoot? Is there any method which you follow? Sorry, if what? Sorry? Yeah, I repeat my question. How do you decide upon the photos which you want to shoot? You know, how do you decide that I'm going to shoot this photo or that photo? And is there any method do you follow? Is there any method? Any method? Yes. When you shoot photos, how do you decide at which photo I'm going to shoot and which photos I'm not going to shoot? And do you have any method? How do you decide which photo you're going to shoot? Well, it depends on the circumstance, you know. If it's in a film festival, then I do my location scouting. and I make some tests, and then prior, I'm well prepared. You know, prior I know that this picture will work, and maybe this one. Of course, you have last minute surprise, but you know, so it's a lot of preparation, I guess. And for the documentary photography is just kind of improvisation. It's more you know, whatever, but you have to be very well prepared in the taking pictures in the movies, either on the film set, because when you work on film set, it's also very tough because you have to be invisible, but at the same time you have to be able to get what you want, to impose yourself, which is difficult, you know, to at the same time to be strong and at the same time to be invisible. So it's, you know, probably the most difficult. I think to be a portrait photographer is easier in my taste because you are your own boss. But on the film set, but I love it. It's challenging and I love it. Yes. But you have to be able to do both things. Yes.
Okay. Stephanie, you spoke about so many photos, but let's talk about other photographers. Let's talk about photographers in general.
Yes, of course. Yes. I prepared a small list.
Yes.
So let me
so my question is that which great photographers do you admire and why? Yes. But you have prepared a list, so please share the list with the viewers.
Oh, yeah, I can tell you because we are not doing the share screen. So
yeah,
I'm going to tell you just,
Yes, tell me the names.
So I put in first position, I put the French photographer Henri Cartier-Bresson. Of course,
he's a legend. He's a great, yes.
Yeah, he's a maestro, and because of his great sense of composition.
Yes.
So he's really amazing. And in a second position, I put an Indian photographer who in fact was a protégé of Henri Cartier-Bresson. I'm sure you know about him. His name is Raghu Rai.
Yes, Raghu Rai, yes.
Yeah, Raghu Rai. And I was lucky enough to literally bump into him in the Mahakumbh in Allahabad. So I was taking picture. It was early morning at dawn. And my God, this guy is amazing. I mean, he was running like a young, I hope to be like him. When he had so much passion, so much drive. He was just, you know, going for it. And the police was there with stick, you know, because they were kind of regulate what was going on. And it was incredible. Yeah, I saw him at work, and he, so also because of his sense of composition. Then I put some American photographers who were also incredible for their documentary pictures. So I put Willie Ronis, Bruce Davidson, and William Klein, very famous.
Okay.
And also I put Guy Bourdin for his sense of composition and his master of aesthetic, working in the fashion. Helmut Newton, of course.
Of course, Helmut Newton, everybody, yes, very famous.
Yes. How can you not, think of Helmut? He was the best.
Yes.
And incredible black and white, amazing black and white. Anton Corbijn, he was a rock star photographer like me.
Yes.
So I can relate to that, and I love Anton Corbijn. And he became a film director, and I love actually his movie Control with Ian Curtis, about the life of Ian Curtis, who was the leader of Joy Division, the rock band who he committed suicide, and he made a great movie. It was shot in black and white, if I remember well. And in fact, I was supposed to take his picture that year in Cannes. I worked for The Guardian, the newspaper, The Guardian. And they asked me to take in portrait Anton Corbijn. Oh nice. My God. I was so nervous because, you know, for me, it's more intimidating to take in picture a master of photography like him, because he would know exactly what I'm doing. Even even more intimidating than with a film director, you know. And so anyway, I was going to do it, and at the last minute, the photo session was cancelled.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and otherwise I put also Martin Parr, because of his great wit and sense of composition. And then for the last section of these photographers that I love, I would put them in, classify them as the rebels. And so I put in the first position, for me, she's the queen of them, Diane Arbus. She was incredible. Diane Arbus, this American photographer. And she was taking all these portraits of, you know, unusual characters, and she was incredible. And also Antoine D'Agata, who is now part of the Magnum agency, and Nan Goldin and Larry Clark. Yes, this is my
Larry
list.
Clark, the director also.
Larry Clark, who is, of course, a famous filmmaker. He was a photographer, and I mean, he is a photographer, and he was incredible photographer. He took a lot of pictures of this youth, the skateboarders, all these things. He was very hip. Yeah. So these are my favorite.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, fantastic. So Stephanie, this brings me to the last question, which is very simple. What message would you like to give to people who would like to enter the field of photography? Any message for the people who would like to enter the field of photography?
Okay. Well, I mentioned that. I just said, because it's almost the same question as what I would recommend to these young students, etc. I would just go there and just don't try, just do it. You know, that's my message. You know, to that's my only recommendation. But I thought, sorry to interrupt, but I thought you were going to ask me about my next project as the last question.
Yeah. Well, as per my document, this was the last question. But I thought, like, when you finish, then I will ask you. Okay.
Okay, fine.
Please.
Sorry. Yeah. But I think we can move to this one.
So Stephanie, what are your some future plans? What's your next project?
Okay.
Can you share something?
So, you know, actually tonight I have to call my LA Times editor because I've been working since 2006 for the LA Times, taking special portraits during Cannes Film Festival. So hopefully they give me the credential, and let's see what happens. But in any case, no matter what, I'm going to go to Cannes, even though we are in the pandemic situation, but definitely I will attend no matter what. So I will be there for sure, 100%, if not for LA Times, because in case they don't send reporters or something, or in case, who knows what can happen, because this is such a particular time.
Yes.
You know, it's completely, everybody's in the blur, so to speak. But if it's not for the LA Times, it could be for another outlet. No matter what, I'll be there. And because it's an incredible platform to meet different people, producers, directors, etc. And I will never miss this international appointment of cinema. And actually, the last Venice Film Festival, I was there, and it was the first big international film festival to open during this pandemic time. And it went quite well. I mean, you know, people are scared, but I think they will organize well. And I'm quite optimistic of how they will organize everything. They have a good example with what happened in Venice. So I'm pretty optimistic about that. And otherwise, in June, I will have the answer from this gallery in Berlin. I worked for them before they took one of my picture to be in this group exhibition. So they are interested to do a solo exhibition of my work, of my Indian pictures for the first time.
Okay.
So touch wood, it will happen.
Yes.
I will. Yeah, I will.
Okay.
It will happen in this gallery called Z22. I hope I'm not mistaken about the name, but I think I'm pretty correct about that. Let me check immediately. And I will know in, yes, Gallery Z22. And I will know in June the response from the sponsors, etc., if it will happen, etc. And then I have some project to work on some French film movies, on some French, on some French film. And what else? You know, my life is a complete improvisation, you know, so it's my only plan is that I don't have a plan.
Fantastic. That itself is a plan. That is a plan, you know. Okay, great. So thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you for sharing.
And I hope to come back to India.
Wonderful. You are most welcome. And I would also like to meet you in person. Let's see. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Let's see. I don't know whether Bombay or Delhi or somewhere, you know, we'll see. Okay. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you for giving me a chance to talk to you. And it was wonderful listening to you. And I got good replies from your side for all the 15 questions I asked to you. Thank you very much. So thank you, viewers, for watching this thing, and wonderful.